Welcome to Book Reviews, where we explore the best books across every genre. I'm Joanna McCann. I'm joined as always by Gerald LeBlanc. Don't forget to grab your free copy of the audiobook using the link in the description below. Let's get started.
Ever wish you could just download the essence of a book right into your brain, without having to actually read the whole thing?
Yeah, I know what you mean. You want the juicy bits, the core ideas without, slogging through every page.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's basically what we're doing here on these deep dives. Taking one book, stripping away all the extra layers, and giving you the heart of the story.
So you get a real feel for what makes it tick, right? The author's style, the main themes, the initial setup, all that good stuff.
Yep. We're basically your literary shortcut. So today we're diving deep into Freida McFadden's The Inmate.
Ooh, good pick. That one's been getting a lot of buzz lately.
It has, and for good reason.
Yeah.
It's seriously gripping.
Yeah.
But don't worry if you haven't read it yet. This is a completely spoiler-free zone.
Okay. Yeah, we're just focusing on the initial setup. What hooks you in those first few chapters and makes you want to keep reading?
Right? So no major plot twists, just vibes and early impressions. So let's jump right in. The Inmate centers around Brooke Sullivan. She's a nurse practitioner who decides to take a job at a men's correctional facility.
Okay. So right off the bat, you've got this interesting juxtaposition, right? You've got a healthcare professional entering a world that's all about punishment and confinement.
Yeah. It's not exactly the most obvious setting for a story about healing and care.
Definitely makes you wonder what kind of challenges she's going to face, right? From both the inmates and the system itself.
Oh, absolutely. And the book doesn't shy away from the harsh realities of prison life. I mean, Brooke's first impressions of the facility are pretty stark.
How so?
Well, there's this intense focus on security.
Yeah.
Constant surveillance, heavy doors that clang shut behind her.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
That sets a very specific mood right away.
Totally. And the staff, they all seem really jaded, like they've been worn down by the environment. You can just tell this isn't going to be your typical 9-to-5 job.
Makes you kind of nervous for Brooke, right? Is she really prepared for what she's getting into?
I know. And she's thrown into the deep end pretty quickly, too.
Yeah.
One of the first things she has to deal with is the prison's medical record system.
Oh, boy. What's that like?
It's a complete nightmare. Apparently, it's all paper files crammed into these overflowing cabinets. Totally disorganized.
So she's not even starting with the basics, right? Just
Yeah.
finding a patient's file is going to be a challenge.
Exactly. It's like the system itself is working against her right from the start.
Which kind of makes you think about the bigger picture, what are the priorities in this place? Is it really about the well-being of the inmates?
Right. And it's not just the paperwork. The actual conditions for the patients are pretty rough, too.
In what way?
Well, early on, there's this scene with an inmate named Mr. Carpenter. He's paraplegic, and he's got a pressure sore.
Oh, no. That's awful.
It is. And he's stuck on this terrible mattress.
Yeah.
Brooke knows he needs a better one, but she runs into all this bureaucratic resistance.
Of course. So she's hitting roadblocks at every turn, trying to provide basic care, but the system's making it near impossible.
Exactly. And you see this pattern throughout the book. Brooke constantly trying to advocate for her patients, but facing pushback from the prison administration.
I mean, it really highlights this ethical dilemma, right? How do you provide adequate care in an environment that's primarily focused on punishment?
Right. Is there even room for compassion in a place like this?
Big question. And it seems like Brooke's going to have to figure that out for herself.
Yeah, she's definitely in for a wild ride. And then things get even more complicated when she has to treat this inmate named Shane Nelson. He's got a head injury and needs stitches.
Okay, so pretty routine medical procedure, right? What's the complication?
Well, they're completely out of lidocaine.
What? Seriously?
Oh.
No anesthetic?
Nope. And the way the director, Dorothy, just casually suggests stitching him up without it, it's kind of shocking.
Yeah, that's pretty messed up. Makes you wonder about their priorities, right? Is an inmate's pain even considered?
It's definitely a moment that highlights the dehumanizing aspects of the system. And here's the kicker. This encounter with Shane triggers a huge revelation for Brooke.
Oh, what is it?
It turns out she has a past connection with him. They actually knew each other when they were teenagers.
Wow. Small world. Especially in a prison.
Right. And it's not just any connection. The book hints at a past relationship, mentioning that Brooke was a minor during Shane's trial.
So there's some serious history there. Potentially some legal issues too, right? Depending on the nature of their relationship.
Exactly. And it's clear that Brooke's parents went to great lengths to keep her name out of the records.
So this whole situation is bringing up a lot of baggage for her.
Definitely. And it raises all these questions like, did Brooke know Shane was there before she took the job?
Or was this a complete coincidence?
That's what she's trying to figure out. She even wonders if her background check missed this connection, or if Dorothy was just desperate enough to hire anyone.
Yeah, that's a good point. If they were short-staffed, they might have overlooked some things.
Maybe. And Brooke's stuck in this situation where she has this intense personal history with an inmate who she's also responsible for treating.
Talk about a conflict of interest.
Right. And you can feel this underlying tension in their interactions. It's like they're both trying to navigate this new dynamic while also dealing with all the unresolved issues from their past.
So it's adding this whole other layer of complexity to the story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder how their past is going to influence their present. Will it affect Brooke's judgment or her ability to do her job?
Yeah. And how will Shane react to having her there? Will he try to use their past to his advantage?
So many possibilities.
Why?
It's definitely one of the things that keeps you hooked.
For sure. And it's not just about the prison either. We also get glimpses into Brooke's life outside those walls.
Right. She's a single mom to her son, Josh.
Okay. So she's juggling a lot, being a mom and working in this high-stress environment.
She is.
Yeah.
And you see her trying to create this sense of normalcy for him. Make sure he feels safe and loved despite everything that's going on.
Which makes her even more relatable, right? She's not just some superhuman character. She's dealing with real-life struggles just like the rest of us.
Totally. And then there's Tim Reese. He's the assistant principal at Josh's school, and he seems to have some history with Brooke, too.
Ooh, another blast from the past.
It seems like it. He reconnect, and there's this hint that maybe something romantic could develop between them.
Interesting. So maybe a potential love interest to add to the mix.
Possibly. It's not a major focus in the early chapters, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Could be a source of support for Brooke, or maybe even more drama. Who knows?
Exactly. So you've got all these different elements coming together, right? Brooke navigating the challenges of her new job, dealing with her past, and trying to maintain a normal life for her son.
Sounds like a recipe for some serious suspense.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
And the author does a fantastic job of building that tension slowly, dropping little hints, revealing information gradually.
So you're constantly on the edge of your seat, wondering what's going to happen next.
Exactly. There are all these secrets simmering beneath the surface, and you just know they're going to boil over eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. And the way the author portrays the prison environment, it's so vivid and unsettling. You really feel like you're right there with Brooke.
Totally. You can almost smell the disinfectant, hear the clanging of the cell doors.
It's claustrophobic and intense, and it makes the whole story that much more gripping.
So to sum it all up for you, the initial setup of The Inmate is all about creating this atmosphere of suspense and unease. You've got a protagonist with a troubled past, entering a world full of secrets and hidden dangers.
And she's constantly facing obstacles, both from the system itself and from the people around her.
It's a story that really gets under your skin and makes you think about the ethical complexities of working in a place like a prison.
Yeah, and the way the author weaves together all these different threads, it's masterful. You're constantly guessing what's going to happen next.
And it all comes back to this central question that the book poses. Can we ever truly escape our past?
Or will it always come back to haunt us?
Especially in a setting as unforgiving as a prison.
Right, where secrets have a way of coming to light no matter how hard you try to bury them.
And that's really what makes The Inmate so compelling. It's not just a thriller. It's a story about facing your demons, both internal and external.
And it makes you question whether redemption is even possible in a place like that.
So if you're looking for a book that will keep you on the edge of your seat and make you think long after you finish reading it, The Inmate is definitely worth checking out.
Agreed. It's a wild ride. And we've only scratched the surface here. Remember, this was just a spoiler-free deep dive into the initial setup.
Yeah. There's so much more to discover in this book, so much more to unravel.
Exactly. And we don't want to spoil any of the surprises for you.
So go pick up a copy and see for yourself. What secrets are lurking within the walls of this prison? What choices will Brooke make when confronted with her past?
Will she find a way to heal herself and others? Or will the darkness consume her?
It's a journey you won't soon forget. So that's it for our deep dive into The Inmate. We hope you enjoyed this spoiler-free exploration.
And we'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of books.
Until then, happy reading.
Happy reading. And that's our summary for today. We hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to grab your free copy of the audiobook using the link in the description below. See you next time.